go there? Can we go there? And so that was part of my perfect day, was we came here and I loved it, and I found out that they are great supporters of local authors, and I try to come to every event that I can make it to, especially YA events, and so if I publish a YA book, I will probably be here. One of the things that, one of the themes of my book, and I feel like it's the theme of every book I will probably ever write and every project that I've started writing, is the idea of choice. And the idea that we all make choices, and our lives kind of go in a way that we're on a journey, and there's several paths that we can take that will take us in all different directions based on the choices that we make. And since I get to have you as my captive audience today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey and the choices. And I also feel like sometimes we're not on the right path, and that's when God or the universe, or whoever you want to say, tries to nudge you in the right direction. And sometimes it's just an idea that comes into your head, and other times it can be a pickup truck that is thrown right in front of you. And so I just want to talk about some of those and turning points, those choices, and then what led me to write the book. The first was when I was in college. When I was in college, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I really wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be all these different things. I changed my major 5 times, and finally I decided, well, I'm going to go to law school. And so I was kind of on that track. And one summer, I just felt like there was something really, really missing in my life, and that it wasn't on the right path. I wasn't necessarily happy, and I really had this overwhelming feeling that I needed to just go somewhere. I needed to leave. Unbeknownst to my parents, who were not very happy about it, I, on a whim, got a job halfway across the country, all the way across the country in Pennsylvania, working at a summer program for inner city kids. And they would bring these kids in, and their teachers would nominate them. They were people who had promise, but they came from horrible, horrible circumstances. But it was kind of, if they had the right opportunities, they could make something out of their life. And they hired me to be their drama instructor. I was really into theater, and I went out there and I started working with these kids, and I started writing plays for them to do for the older kids to do for the younger kids. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. I love writing, and I loved writing when I was a kid, and I had teachers who would say, you know, you should be a writer, you should be a writer. And to me, I was like, I can't be a writer. I'm just this normal person. Writers are like these special people who like live on another planet or something and like send their books down or whatever. I never really crossed my mind that was something I could really do. I could be an archaeologist, but you know, I'm not a writer. And I just loved it, and I said, this is what I want to do. This is why I came here. This is why I had this feeling. And I went back to school, and I started talking my way into every writing class that I could possibly get into. And just started gung-ho, started going to, I don't know if people here go to the BYU Writing for Young Readers Conference. I was one of I was like their very first attendee when there were 30 people there. Now there's like 500, but I was in that room, and I just loved it. And I said, this is what makes me happy, this is what I want to do. But then, fast forward 3 years later, life kind of caught up with me. I was married, I was trying to finish my last class in school, I was working full-time, had a brand new baby, and I had all these things to make me happy. But I wasn't happy. And I would just sit there going, what is my problem? Why am I not happy? I've got this wonderful husband, I've got this beautiful baby, I've got this great job. But I was kind of in this place where I was letting life live me. I would come home from work and I would just be so tired. And even though I loved my job, I was just like, I wasn't doing anything for myself. You know, it was all about just getting through the night, you know, with this new baby. And when my son was 4 months old, we were driving on the Highland Alpine Road before it was expanded. It was just this little 2-lane road, and a freak snowstorm blew in. And we were hit head-on by a pickup truck. And luckily my son and my husband were fine, but as I was sitting there in the car, it couldn't speak because the airbag, it suffocates you, like it chokes you. And finally my husband turned to me and he said, "Are you okay?" And that's when I realized that I wasn't okay. And basically got hysterical and just screamed for a long time. And sorry, no, I'm crying. I'm glad I didn't wear mascara. But the ambulance came. It was this horrible. It was so icy. It was this horrible snowstorm. And we went to the hospital, and I went into emergency surgery. And when I came out of surgery, luckily, the dashboard had shattered, and I was like speared by it, like right through my knee, and like through the kneecap, and just other stuff. But and the doctor told me that I was very, very lucky that I was not going to be crippled for life. And I was laying there, and my husband came to see me on the bed, and I just had this overwhelming feeling, and just, I almost say it's like a vision, but it wasn't quite. It was this overwhelming feeling that I had been given a second chance, that this accident could have been so much worse. If you see the car, it's just smashed, you know, just the whole dashboard came up, and, you know, the engine went into it. It was so bad, and just this overwhelming feeling that I had been given a second chance at life. And so I turned to my husband in the hospital room, and I said to him, if I had died, there are two things I realize right now that I would regret. Number one is that I didn't have enough time with my family. And number two was that I never finished writing a book. I had been so gung-ho about writing, but in the last year, the only thing I had written was a grocery list. I had not written a word. And I really felt like that's what was missing. And a couple of weeks later, I wasn't able to walk for a long time. I had to learn how to walk again. We ended up moving in with my parents. We were living on their couch, and I really had no money at all. Medical bills were bearing us. My husband came home with this old refurbished laptop, and he presented it to me while I was laying there, and he said, "You better start writing again." And he gave me that laptop, and I feel like that laptop is my lifeline, is what got me through this horrible time of being so medicated and so sick all the time, learning how to walk again. My life was physical therapy and then my laptop. And I couldn't even really hold my son because of the medications I was on. He was so jiggly, I kept throwing up if I held him for too long. And, you know, so my mom was taking care of him, but I had this laptop, and I started writing. And I started writing every day. And once I was recovered, I made the choice to not go back to work and to become a full-time mom and a part-time writer. And so I feel like that laptop gave me the things that I realized that I really, really wanted in life. And I remember at one point my mom asking me while I was laying there and leg up and cast, all this stuff, and she looked at me and she said, "Why are you so happy?" And I looked at her and I said, "Because I'm alive." And I think a lot of times really bad things happen to us, and it's a choice, it's a crossroads, it's a turning point where we can say, I'm going to give into this, and I'm going to just wallow in it, and I'm going to lose sight of what I really want, or you can turn it into something, you can fight through it, and you can turn it into something that will become what you really want and will become your dream. And so I was writing every day. I did finish the book that I had started. I sent it out and sent it out and sent it out and got rejected and rejected and rejected, which now I realize, I'm like, that was my practice novel. And then one day, and I started writing chick lit. I really like kind of the funny Mike Cabot type stuff. And one day I read the book Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson.